Batman is a vampire. Where is this going to go next? Welcome to the Complete Story series, where I take trade paperbacks as single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then, I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now, at the end of our last chapter, Bruce Wayne was given the powers from a woman named Tanya to fight Dracula. Though, in the final attempt to destroy the underlings of Dracula, Tanya sacrificed herself, killing the last of the vampires. Using the powers given to him by Tanya, Bruce fought and he defeated Dracula, but in the process was bitten and turned into a full vampire himself. Though the man known as Bruce Wayne is dead, Batman lives on, protecting the streets of Gotham through the shadows. However, one night, after taking down some street thugs, Bruce tosses the men into some nearby trash, knocking everything over. One thing that falls over is a trash can with a woman's body in it. Along the neck, she has 3 sets of puncture wounds, which means that what him and Tanya did at Wayne Manor didn't kill all of Dracula's family. There must have at least been one nest that they had missed. It may be too late for him, but there is still time to stop this woman from turning. So Bruce places a stake in her chest, and then with one swing with a rock, the stake pierces her heart, and Bruce tells himself that it seems his work has just begun. 7 nights later, Joker makes his way through town, and he goes down into the sewers of the city looking for something. But after a bit of wandering about, he finds what he's looking for. A group of half-rotten, foul-smelling, sunken-eyed men. One of the men begins to hiss at him and lunges towards the Joker. And just as he goes to bite him, a flower on the Joker's jacket sprays water. Holy water. He then pulls out a cross laughing. And one of the men says they can rid him of that cross, yet he still laughs. And the Joker tells him, "Of course! I couldn't live without laughter. Sure, you could kill me, but if you forego my blood and trust me, it tastes terrible. We can embrace me for who I really am, your new leader." The next night, Bruce returns to the makeshift hideout that him and Alfred are staying in, and as Alfred pours Bruce his sustenance, he drinks it up and thinks to himself about how this is getting less and less effective, while the other hunger begins to rise. Alfred asks if he's okay, and Bruce tells him, "I'm fine, just thinking." Alfred then hands Bruce a wooden stake, stating, "It's hollow and it's weighted with metal, perfect for throwing. You've gotten pretty good at making them. Maybe you should shoot for a dozen a day?" Bruce takes the dagger and he tells him, "Daggers or not, I will be shooting for them all." Elsewhere, at the Cardona mob house, Creech, Joker's right man, sits before Cardona himself on behalf of the Joker. Cardona says that it's pretty insulting if this Joker couldn't meet him in person. And just as Creech begins to explain that the Joker is a little strange, he begins to grab his stomach in pain. Cardona asks what's wrong because it looks like bad acting, or maybe he's wired. Mobsters begin to surround Creech and he tells them that it's not like that, it's just that he's famished. And he jumps out, biting one of the guards in the face. More vampires begin to jump in through the windows, attacking the remaining guards. Creech then grabs a hold of Cardona and the Joker walks in himself, stating, "Now you're sucking in style! No more sewer nests for this growing family of fangs!" A few days later, Bruce follows up on a lead at the cemetery regarding their newest residents, the Cardona mob boss and his 3 bodyguards. Inside, though, it's rather unusual. They weren't buried, and there are no crosses on any of the caskets, which could only mean, out of the mausoleum, the bodyguard with the bitten-off face peeks out, stating that the coast is clear, and then suddenly a wooden stake flies through his heart and Bruce jumps in. He throws another stake at another guard, and then he grabs the last remaining one and stakes him in the heart. Cardona shouts, "What are you doing? You're a vampire yourself." And Bruce tells him, "I'm not like you, though." Cardona then says, "The old Batman didn't kill anyone. Now you're just a one-man holocaust." And Bruce shouts, "I'm not like you. I don't drink blood." But Cardona says, "No, but you sure spill it, huh? Even if you don't drink blood, I bet you really want to. Quenching that thirst, that awful thirst." And he begins to think about it, and Bruce tells him, "No, I won't." And then he grabs Cardona, stabbing a stake through him. Once Cardona's body hits the ground, Bruce pulls out a hatchet, and then he begins to swing. And in another part of town, Creech begins to follow a woman down the streets. She asks him if he's following her, and he tells her, "No, I'm hunting you." Creech begins chasing and then changing into a wolf before finally tackling her to the ground and ripping off her shirt. He then bites down on her shoulder and the woman kicks him off, jumping into the river below. He then watches as the woman swims away, knowing the running water cannot be crossed by the undead. Later, the woman returns home telling her cats that she feels a bit sleepy and she'll feed them later. Word begins to travel as Joker and his gang of vampires begin to take out Gotham's major mob houses, their latest being Manny the Shark. Bruce breaks into one of Manny's clubs just before biting down onto one of his dancers. As the fight breaks out, Joker knocks on the door stating, "Nice club!" But he sees Batman punching Manny, stating, "Oops, this place just got a little too kinky for me. I'll see myself out!" After finally struggling and throwing Manny onto a table, Bruce's thirst begins to set in as he looks at the young dancer. But he has to fight for it. He has to force down that hunker, and he slams the stake into Manny. Bruce turns to the woman, telling her, "Get out of here! Find some other kind of work!" Back over at the woman's house that escaped Creech, she wakes up to a full moon, and as she sees it, she begins to change. Her body begins to change into a cat creature. But one thing's for sure, she will make whoever did this to her pay with their blood. The woman goes up to the rooftops waiting, looking for the monster that did this to her, and then she sees him, and she jumps. As the woman leaps onto him, she swings, hitting Bruce out of the air, and the two of them come crashing onto the rooftop. They begin punching and kicking each other until Bruce pins her down, holding out another wooden stake, and then he stops because she's not a vampire. The woman tells him to do it. He turned her into this, so just end it, but Bruce stops, telling her that she's wrong. He's never seen her before. She struggles, asking if he's a victim too, and if so, let her help him. All she remembers is that she was bitten by a wolf. Isn't that what happened to him? And Bruce stops, asking if what bit her sucked her blood, and she says no. And Bruce sees that she doesn't seem to have the urge to suck blood. He then tells her to just leave. No! And the woman says that if he needs her, her name is Kyle. Selina Kyle. After the run-in with Selina, Bruce heads back to his lab to work on a formula for the serum, as its effects are now making him weaker and weaker, while his thirst for blood grows stronger. But it's of no use. He is damned, and he will need help. Later, Alfred comes down into the basement with Bruce's substance for the evening, and as he walks in, he sees Bruce huddled against the wall. He tells Bruce that he hasn't taken his, and then Bruce knocks the serum away, stating, "It's not enough anymore! Nothing's enough! Get out of here! Get away from me!" Alfred leaves as the serum lays on the floor, and Bruce begins to lick up what he can, stating it's not nearly enough. Then he sees a rat, so he grabs it and he opens his mouth and he bites down on it. The blood begins to drip from his face and hands, and Bruce shouts, "No! No! Why did Tanya have to die? I can't do this alone!" Outside on the rooftop, Selina begins to clean herself up as she hears a scuffling in the distance, and what she finds is Bruce telling her that he does need her help. She grabs a hold of Bruce and takes him into her apartment, where she lays him down to rest, and as the morning comes, he wakes up to see Selina back in her human form. She tells him that she only changes when she sees the moon, but all that Bruce can think about is how his bloodlust has been eased almost completely. Could it be something that Ariana said before? Maybe this woman's caring did help? Someone to hold him while he slept? Once the night begins to fall, Bruce and Selina go out to take another mob nest for the vampires. But Bruce asks if she thinks that she's really ready for this, as Selina tells him she just can't wait. Inside the manor, the vampires are feasting on a woman, and then Bruce and Selina crash through the roof. As they land, Selina sees just what the vampires are doing, and she begins swinging and cutting everyone in her path. It doesn't take the two of them long before all of the vampires are defeated, and then she looks down at one of the women, and Selina asks, must they do it to them too? Bruce hands her a stake, telling her that if not now, then later, after they have risen. They each take a woman, and they push the stakes through their hearts. Once Bruce finishes cutting the heads off, he tells Selina that he was right. No more random attacks. Their tactics are more organized with the Joker behind them. They can go out and clean another nest or two, but then he'll know for sure. So tomorrow morning, he's going to need some assistance in the daylight. As the sun rises, Bruce calls Jim and Alfred to begin work on staking some more of the mob nests. But as the night sets in, Bruce and Selina go back out to follow the Joker to an abandoned warehouse. They sneak in, and then from the shadows of the warehouse, the remaining vampire monsters surround them. Crossbows begin to fire, and Bruce and Selina dodge the oncoming bolt, and then through them, the two of them begin their attack. As Bruce continues on stabbing people with stakes, Joker watches from the platform above, seeing how 13 of his last 15 vampires have just been killed. And one of the final two remaining is Creech, which Selina has already been working towards. Creech tries to escape, but after seeing him transform into a wolf, she knows that this is the one who stalked her, the one who terrorized her, and she strikes. She starts ripping away at Creech's chest until finally she pulls out his heart, holding it over her head. Bruce stabs the final vampire, and just as he does, Joker readies himself and he fires his crossbow. Selina sees Joker, and as he fires, she jumps in the way, taking the bolt to her back, and she falls before Bruce. As she begins to die, she tells him that it was good while it lasted, and he grabs her, telling her, "No! No!" Joker readies a second bolt and he fires, but before hitting, Bruce turns back, grabbing the bolt out of midair, shouting, "You killed her! You killed my last hope!" Bruce leaps after him, and the Joker says that it looks like it's time for his last-ditch effort, and he runs off. Bruce chases him into a church surrounded by crosses. He tells Bruce, "Sorry to squelch your thirst, but..." Bruce sees all of the crosses, but it doesn't bother him in the least. And then the Joker sprays his holy water, and Bruce just tells him, "That was refreshing. It's because I didn't drink the blood of a human yet. I can defy what would normally stop a vampire." And then he grabs the crossbow, breaking it. Joker tells him, "Do it! Wet your beak! Sink your fangs in! But just know that my red stuff will blacken your pure heart!" Bruce shouts, "Silence!" And he swings his arm, hitting and breaking the Joker's neck. And then he begins to dive into his urge, and he bites. He tells himself no, but as the Joker's blood runs down his face, the crosses begin to take effect. Quickly, Bruce stabs the Joker, and he makes his escape. But the damage was done, and Bruce begins to lose himself. Down in the basement of their hideout, Alfred reads a letter left by Bruce, which explains that if he reads this, then him and Jim will have to do what they must. And he asks Alfred and Jim not to fail him when he needs them most. With tears in his eyes, Alfred grabs a hold of Bruce's hand, and with the other, he strikes down the stake into Bruce's heart. Bruce begins to mutter, "Peace. Forever." And as he lay there, Alfred and Jim walk off. Shockingly though, this is not the end, and we have one more Vampire Batman story to bring you, so I hope you're excited. Follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian and Instagram at Comicstorian, and I'll see you next time, right here.